Good evening, everybody. Just getting set up with Darkest Dungeon, and I'd like to see whether or not I hate it when that happens. Yeah, just making sure that I've got my quality options, which I do. I hope you're all doing well.
Ruin has come to our family. You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal of antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth. But we were in a realm of death and madness. In the end, I alone fled laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity. Until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
Hello. I wanted to read the opening text. And good to see you, Flora. So yeah, I don't know, like I generally like I like doing the intros where I can. It's the Forgotten Estate, if I recall correctly. But yeah, we had a decent little tempo of kind of taking down a boss every stream, and we ran into the Countess, which made that a bit more difficult to achieve.
Let me share with you the terrible wonders I have come to know.
So part of this is going to be, I mean, we're in a fairly decent spot. We've got a fairly strong roster. It's still a bit weird in terms of the overall distribution of roles. So if I go, we're already sorted by class. So 2 lepers, Hellion, Crusader, Abomination, 1 man-at-arms, 1 bounty hunter, 1 highwayman, 1 occultist. That can't be right. We've definitely got more than 1 Vestal. Let's try that again. So one of the first problems I have here is that we basically got 3 Arbalists, because the Musketeer, so far as I can tell, is basically the same same as the Arbalist. We've got 2 Plague Doctors. We've got 2 Jesters, 2 Antiquarians. I'm not 100% sure how this happened. But it is fairly high level, so I don't quite want to throw away an Antiquarian. 1 Grave Robber, 1 Houndmaster, 3 Vestals, 2 Occultists, 1 Highwayman, 2 Bounty Hunters, 1 Man-at-Arms, 1 Flagellant. I was under the impression that we... Oh, right, no, I got rid of one of them so that I could bring in the Shield Breaker. 1 Abomination, 2 Crusaders, 2 Hellions, 1 Shield Breaker, which we only just recently got back, and 2 lepers. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what my ideal roster would be like this, but I can tell you that my ideal roster is not this one. I did make sure that I got an extra Crusader just because Olaf sadly perished in the last stream. But the one challenge that I'm running into right now is it's really hard to like level up some of the smaller people. I don't really know if it's possible to run through a dungeon with only 3. I mean, occultist. A crusader, occultist, and flagellant is definitely not a bad combination. But I don't know. Like I sort of wonder. I wonder if I would actually be able to pull it off, for lack of a better term. I'm just also going to take a quick minute here and see where we're at, stress-wise. I think we only have 1 restless. Okay. Sorry, I just need to sneeze. But yeah, so the long-term plan is going to be well, not even long, but like it would be nice if I can bring down another one of these bosses. I have a bit of an idea of how the Formless Flesh fight is going to go, less of an idea about how the Drowned Crew is going to go. Now, what I normally do is I take these boss fights as an opportunity to bring my 5s to 6s. So if I take a look at what I've got available right now, Plague Doctor, Vestal, 2 Plague Doctors, Vestal, and an Antiquarian. This doesn't inspire a lot of confidence for like either of these boss fights. So one of the sort of secondary goals that I've got right now is to sort of bring up some of my 3s and 4s, and ideally to bring up, people who are going to be helpful. So for instance, Fitzroy is nice. It's nice to get people at a higher level, and certainly it's going to help me with the cash. And now that I have the bank, having more and more cash in the bank is just going to kind of get this nice little, upward ramp in terms of just, giving my people ridiculous amounts to work with. Like I can sort of over equip forever. But, let's face it, like, Grave Robbers, I mean, Vestal's not the end of the world if I bring one, but like Grave Robber, Hellion, Bounty Hunter, Shield Breaker, like all these are the things that are really going to help me take out a boss. So that's kind of why I say it's a little bit of a longer term goal to bring one group of people together for the level people up so that we can get them to 5 and then get them to take on a boss battle. So with that in mind, I mean, I'm looking at leveling up 3s and 4s essentially, and at that point, if I recall correctly, if I try and bring Fortier on and beyond this. So 90% of rooms, 100% of room battles, medium, which will give me a higher XP level. So yeah, I think we're going to... Can he work in position 3? Not with the uppercut. But I don't have to use the uppercut. That'll do it. So the reason I wanted to do this is so that I can bring my Shield Breaker in. And can Mathen work in the 4th position? Not as well as I would like. Then again, I probably want to bring a healer anyway. Okay, I think that might work. So I'm also going to try and be a little bit better at covering gear upgrades and abilities. Okay. One last thing I want to do is see if there's any sort of stress. Yeah, so we do have a few people with... Wait a minute. Right, no, that's fine. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to deal with the stress for a few people as well. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, I think we're ready to head out. So again, 90% of room battles. We're really at this point, we're just trying to push people to a higher level. It doesn't need to be too elaborate, but... And... What I usually do in this case is I bring 2 vials of blood for each person affected by the Crimson Curse. So one of the things that I'm not very good at when picking my team, generally,
I knew all these paths once. Now they are as twisted as my own ambitions.
So generally, I will, I'll kind of ignore an ideal grouping, let's say, in favor of, like, so I usually have a goal in mind, like either to get people up to level 5 or 6, or, oh, I forgot to see, yeah, I could have equipped the shield breaker with some artifacts. That's a bit of a shame, but that's life. So, you know, in some situations it's ideal to bring certain types of abilities. So, for instance, if you know that you're going to be going up against a lot of skeletons, bringing people with high bleed and no blight is not necessarily the best group. Like, you'll have some easier times trying to, you know, bringing the opposite group, high blight, no bleed. In practice, though, I usually want to try and accomplish a particular goal. Again, you know, bring people to a certain level or take advantage of an opportunity as it comes up. So as a result, I will bring in what are on paper not very optimal.
Nature herself, a victim to the spreading corruption, malformed with misintent.
Not very optimal groups, just in the name of, you know, trying to, I don't know, hit that larger goal. Sorry, I'm a little distracted.
A fortune waiting to be spent.
And again, this one is explore rooms, so it's not as important that we kill everything in sight. Okay, so the stun was lucky there. This was really just more of an opportunity for me to get the...
Eradicated.
Alright. Actually, probably should have hit the first one. So again, this is more about getting the torch up than anything. Man, I'm getting really lucky on these.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy
Okay.
them all.
So we got a couple considerations here. So I generally like Serpent Sway, and I might want one where I move back. But Blight actually doesn't do that much for me in this region, so never mind. Alright, I hate these things, but the Fungal Battery and the Tenacious Crone are the two... are the two priorities. Okay, so I'm gonna have to put some healing on the shield breaker. I think in this case, Impale's the right call. Or hang on, we can still target.
Decimated.
So normally I'd be wanting to deal with the crone, but my shield breaker's been taking some hits, so... Does this count as human? It does.
Obliterated.
So quite late in getting rid of the crone, but unless the tree batch smackdown can hit position 3, we're gonna be okay. It won't protect me from the blight, but if he does a tree batch smackdown, I'll be covered.
The bigger the beast.
Again, just a
the
nice
greater
little,
the glory.
a nice little torch there. Sun ring, plus 10 damage if torch is above 75, bonus accuracy, but it will increase stress. Why not?
Ornaments, neatly ordered, lovingly admired.
It doesn't come up a lot, but I love it whenever whenever that line comes up. You're messing around with your inventory line. This is a bit of an unlucky one for me because I don't really have any means of getting rid of the stealth. Oof. Ouch.
Destroyed.
There's going to be some consequences for that. No, maybe not. Everybody misses today.
Unnerved, unbalanced.
Okay, so I wanted to do Impale here because I thought it would go through the stealth, but it's not as important just because she's already exposed. Ah!
Annihilated.
I'd prefer to heal the shield breaker, to be honest, but
As the fiend falls,
I'm already tired of this fight.
blossoms.
Okay, good debuff resist, but I'd lose the dodge, so I think I'm gonna leave it be for now. So first priority is going to be for the Vestal to heal up the shield breaker. Okay. Actually, we're a bit lucky that happened because it's possible we might get at death's door.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Okay, that's going to give us a little bit of tempo. Ugh.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
Okay, so here I'm gonna mark, just because I want to make sure I get that heal on the shield breaker. So the danger here is that the dog's gonna move first.
Is knit.
Still, hard to argue with a 24
Their formation is
24 heal.
maintain the offensive.
Okay, that was a pretty light set of challenges. We have a bit more stress than when we started with, and our pack's okay, but like if I were to leave with this haul here, it would definitely feel a bit underwhelming. But This is a pretty merciful opening dungeon for us, I'd say.
In Radiance, may we find victory.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to complain about the food, but we're obviously overpacked on that. It's actually quite unlikely, I think, that we're going to bring the campfire, especially because the shield breaker has something of a risk for creating sort of an ambush-like event. I don't 100% know how it works, but it does make me a bit nervous. I think we're just gonna beat up on the gatekeeper. Okay, nothing to gain for our our heals right now. We might be able to do a little more torch, but I think right now I want to try and spread out the damage as much as I can. And this, normally I don't like doing... Oh, I didn't think that one through. Normally I don't like spreading out the damage like this, but I know I'm going to do an impale. So yeah, the anticipation was that it would help me out. Now the thirst might mess up the order a bit. Yeah, I was really hoping to do an Iron Swan, but that's fine, they're still in range.
Impressive.
So, I mean, overall, that's not a terrible encounter. The only thing I really am complaining about is there's a lot of stress for my Vestal now. Okay, I think we're going to commit to ditching the firewood. I may do other things. So, for instance, I could put the debuff charm on the shield breaker, but I don't quite think that's necessary yet.
Glittering gold, trinkets and baubles.
Now it is.
Paid for in blood.
So again, not crazy about losing the dodge there, but it does leave me up a little cash. Okay, this is going to be a pain just because of the two stress dealers, so we're going to start with an Impale. That's also going to set up an Iron Swan for the... Oh, yeah, okay, we're good. I'm counting on the Hellion to deliver on the Iron Swan. I counted wrong!
Returns even the boldest gaze.
It's a long shot, but yeah. Gives me a little torch. Not that I'm looking to preserve torches in my pack right now. So there will be a heal for the Hellion, but I figure we'll wait till the Blight works through their system. Okay, now I need to make some choices.
Promises success.
Well, and I do still want to hang on to the skeleton key because it may we may run into a chest that helps with that. Oh, that might have been because I drank the holy water. I won't say fair to a map. That actually is pretty useful to me. This always has the danger of disease. Okay. Probably should have checked to see who has the highest resistance against that sort of thing, but I was just kind of accepting that I've got a lot of Vestals that I can potentially throw, throw out my problems, so losing one for a remedy is not the end of the world. This is a combo that always troubles me. The Fungal Battery Tenacious Crone is one I sort of struggle to get a handle on. I think in this case we're going to do Finish Him. Okay, it didn't deliver though. So let's hope for Judgment. Good. So an Iron Swan would be great, but I don't have a way of reaching her. Well, crap. Yeah, no surprises here. Let's move back. So, of course, this is where I would have done an Iron Swan, but... Oh, Puncture will do the trick. Good. So yeah, our formation's definitely in a tough spot, but some much needed stress relief. I guess I just debuffed this character for two turns, but alright, now we have some really tough choices, because I do want the crests.
So too will resistance.
But I also kind of want everything else here. So... there's one. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. God, they're spoiling me. I think I need to stop building for the potential and then just sort of accept the reality of my situation. We're near the end of this map, so I'll try and take some more of the tangible gains. Uh-oh. Well, that wasn't quite what I had in mind, but... So the Shield Breaker is actually somebody who I would normally want to send on another encounter. So Rabies, low accuracy, but better damage. I might be able to make that work.
Curious is the trap maker's art. His efficacy unwitnessed by his own eyes.
Now, there's fewer benefits to me kind of going through these last couple of rooms, but I do want to make a go of it.
Of safety.
Just because you never know. Like if I can replace some of these torches or this food with or the shovels, even better still. That's just a nice little cherry on top, basically. I kind of see these last little bits of the dungeon as a way to try and convert some of the remaining resources into valuables. So yeah, in this case, if we might take some physical damage, which doesn't count. See, this is where the key would have been helpful. Yeah, so it's a trap. That sucks, but that's life.
Paths and roads bring soldiers and supplies. Let them arrive unharried.
Okay, Night Blindness, Total Deaf, and Perfectionist. So all of these are going to be... Actually, yeah, the +5 stress when an attack misses is going to be a particularly annoying one to deal with, but we'll get through it.
In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
The lights, the tumultuous currents in the ether bluster with extra vigor tonight. The comet particulates vibrate with extra intensity. So it may not be a bad idea for me to try and do another run. I've not done well on them in the past, but it might be time for me to give that another shot. So Mathan went on a drunken bender and hasn't been seen since the previous evening. Kyle B went on a drunken bender and hasn't been seen since the previous evening. Larry Zyder prayed and recovered 86 stress. Fitzroy meditated and recovered 63 stress. Bourneville underwent effective disease treatment and cured lethargy. We've got a couple of Crimson Curse events, and we've got leveled up characters. So, first of all, we're going to go to the medical ward and cure the rabies. Corbon's got to go to church. Okay, so just a quick reminder to myself of what I'm trying to accomplish. So I think we're working on the Outsider's Bonfire for 3,000 crests. I don't think there's any value to deeds. I think at this point we're crests and busts. Not even busts. We are pure crests at this point. So let's get some conversions in. I'm going to save the busts just in case. We'll do that at the very end. Alright, let me just double check. So I can't remember what these are, like memories or something like that. We've got the Tainted Well, so these require shards, if I recall correctly. The Red Hook is going to be the last thing that we build because 750 crests is a lot and 50,000 gold is a lot. Puppet Theater is going to cost us 200 crests, but instead of... so, again, don't get me wrong, the Puppet Theater is nice because it does have that stress relief for idle heroes. That does save me money in the long run. But the idea of getting additional respite points for having an Abomination or a Hellion... Sorry, Abomination, Hellion, or a Leper is definitely in my opinion, that's a very strong bonus, and it's also the harder one to get. So I would prefer, if I can, to build towards that. So let's take a quick look at the stagecoach. One of the things that I want to try and do, if I can, is basically see when I sort by level if we had a Crusader, a Flagellant, or an Occultist that were well, in this case it would be level 2 or higher. We would automatically boot one of these and bring in the higher level character. In this case, though, we don't have anything to work with. Now, if I recall correctly, I don't think I can... Oh, interesting.
Reclusive. This man is more dangerous than he seems. The thrill of the hunt. the promise of payment.
So if I recall correctly, these ones will only go for the like the mill. Oh, sorry, this is one other. Yeah. Okay, this is interesting. I've never actually known how these work. Well, let's say we wanted to go in, and we'll only go on the Endless Harvest expedition. Okay, so basically it seems like this just gives me an option to run in and... Can I really have 2 abominations at once? Jesus. Like, I don't really fancy these guys' chance to survive, but... Like, the big problem here is who's position 4. Okay, so let's say Flagellant goes in position 2. I'm trying to think of who I've got some duplicates of. So we could bring Liborg as the... So I don't really have good heals, though, and I feel like that would be valuable. Well, no, sorry, I got the Flagellant for healing. I guess technically Liborg would help out as well. Well, maybe what we do is we move these up and we bring Cameroonian for some stress here. So this makes us a more sustainable group. The damage maybe isn't quite where I would normally want it to be, but it's not a disaster either. Okay, I see some possibilities here. Now, I guess, you know, there is an open question as to whether or not this is actually a very helpful way of like spending my turn, right? I could still be leveling up characters. The biggest thing is that we have that event that gives us the extra shards. So this is not a bad time for us to learn how these mercenaries work. So I guess the question here would be why am I not bringing the bounty hunter again? So if we just said screw it for the stress, and I wanted sort of maximum damage. You know what? I may regret it, but let's try a Jester. Reflection of Decays, heroes minus healing skills. Okay. I don't really know if that's helpful for us, but... And I think in this case we'll max out on the various debuffs. This is probably over-preparing, but we've got enough cash.
The poor miller. Thrice a victim. The seasons took his livelihood. I took his land. And now, uncountable years later, the comet has taken his humanity. My only regret is that I did not live to see that shoddy mill smashed to pieces by the miraculous bounty I reaped from beyond the void.
Seems safe enough for now. Is this the same farm we left? Alright, so Foreman's sort of the priority if I can. There's going to be retaliation in a little bit. Let's start with a battle ballad. Oh, I forgot to reassign the skills. This is going to be a little hard at the start, I think, but... Okay, so I'm not quite at the point where I want to unleash the, the werewolf, but we'll build towards it. There is something to be said for calling the shot. So I'm sacrificing one turn so that I can get a better shot.
Impressive. Slowly, gently. This is how a life is taken.
Ow. Hey, Melee Mage, how you doing? Thank you very much for the host. All right, have a good run to the store. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll talk later. That's 10 damage a turn. This guy's already dead. So let's do another battle ballad here. We do need to do damage to the farmhand, but let's make that damage to someone who we'll do the damage to someone who can or using someone who can sort of take the retaliation. All right, a plow horse is always a pain.
Unnerved, unbalanced. Precision and power.
I hate to do it, but oh, okay, that works.
A faint hope blossoms.
All right, this becomes a worry.
Inspiration and improvement. Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Okay, so this is gonna suck. These things are such a pain. Okay, so I'm not crazy about moving the musketeer forward like this, so we'll just move one back. Move the flagellant to the front. We've rebuilt the group. So I think I'll probably transform this next turn.
The bigger the beast, the greater the glory.
Okay, so this is kind of where I want the flagellant to be anyway. I actually think I'm going to do an absolution.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
All right, and again, not ideal, but gives us a fighting chance. It's also important to remember who's expendable in this list, so...
A devastating blow. Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. A
Nice.
decisive pummeling. The slow death. Unforeseen. Unforgiving. The blood quickens.
So I only get one more of these. I think I want to wait for like a real need. Let's try this stun. I'd like to try and get a heal on this character, but I don't want to... Like, I don't want to sacrifice the opportunity to do some damage.
Resupply and recover.
Alright.
But be quick.
Rotted Fare. Take up the hatchet, blow off some steam. Well, that wasn't what I was hoping for. I could try eating, but let's do this the good old-fashioned way. Fields are fallow, yet still this is twisted mockery of life finds a way. Let's start with a harvest, just because this plow horse has a chance of going invisible on me. So I'm a bit worried about my overall health situation, but it's not a bad idea to try and get the early... Yeah, so we're going to do 9 damage. So it's not quite enough to finish the job.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
Oh, I forgot to do the other, I'm an idiot. I was supposed to switch his skills. That's a particularly bad blunder because we've got a while before we're gonna be able to act on that again. Then again, he's a rental, so...
Ringing ears, blurred vision. The end approaches.
Okay, so... Again, this isn't the end of the world. There is something of a design behind this. It does depend a little bit on who moves next in terms of the positioning, but we should be good. Okay. So I have to be back. I mean, I could actually, you know what? Transforming's not a bad idea right now. I don't want a whole turn dedicated to...
Decimated.
Alright, so then we heal up our companion. Oh, wow. I did not think uses remaining 0 was an outcome there. So that... Wow, does that really mean that's for the whole...
Champion falls.
Ooh, okay. Every one of them will fall. Okay. Let's go for... Honestly, a rage on the Sleeper's Herald's probably the best idea. A rake would have been nice because it could work on the Scarecrow, but... Is that a heal? Oh god. Oh, yep, that's exactly what that is. So again, knocking these guys down as early as we can is probably the way we're gonna get out of this.
A powerful blow.
So another, well, we'll take advantage of the heal. So this is a pain, obviously, but... There we go. So I think Rage is most appropriate for the Plow Horse. Again, try and put as many debuffs as we can before it goes invisible. Especially if this thing's going to put the Seeds of Growth on. Okay, got a bit lucky there. Jesus. This Scarecrow is making me angry. Nice.
Victory. Perhaps the turning point.
I do tend to fear the horses a bit more than any of the others. I guess this thing doesn't really bleed.
Well struck.
So we're gonna lose some sanity before too long.
Masterfully executed.
Okay, this will take us to the next round. So I should be able to rearrange my skills based on this.
Safe from the comet's maddening light. For now.
All right, this is more like it. I think I'm okay with the other. So Skeet Shot might be an option. I think I'll stick with the status quo for now. And I never remember what these things do, but it looks like Plentiful Bounty is the... Oh, good, that's a heal for everyone. On we go. The colors alter. Haunting.
Lost in time and space.
Okay, Hateful Virago is a huge problem. Oh, I didn't even think about being in position 1 like this. I'm actually gonna do a mark first, because we're gonna need some help. So I want to try and work on the I want to work on the stress for this guy before I go to before I start bringing him back into the fight. Everybody's starting to suffer on stress. Actually, you know what? I think I can move him back this one round here because, or no, we've got the health. So let's do a battle ballad. This is kind of starting to get ahead of me.
The ground quakes.
So I want to try and get control over the fight again. All right, that stun's not going to help me. I will do one more absolution with my abomination. They're going to be out for one more round as I move them up through their positions, but we also get to wipe out some of the maggots. Okay, let's move you in position. And we'll buckshot. I thought that was surprisingly merciful. Okay, so clearly the fungal bombards are priority.
A singular strike.
I was hoping to use my Jester for other purposes, but like right now we've got we've got some priority targets on the board, so we'll do the most that we can. So that's 14. This thing's already dead. Let's see if we can get lucky with an aimed shot. Alright, so this is going to hurt, but the good news is that they're going to be damaging the one character that I want to see damaged. So, get sick again. We can still do the Rain of Sorrows, I think. 10 damage around. They're dead, so let's Inspiring Tune. This is partly a buffer from what's going to happen to the with the Abomination. So we can use a bandage here, and now our priorities become the Fungal Claw. Dog should kind of get taken care of. Again, not a problem here because I'm just going to be able to heal my own friend. Oof, not good. This is out. Okay. I mean, if this thing's exhausted for the entire session now, what I really should be doing is I should just switch that out altogether for something more useful. So Giants become a new priority here, especially because I think the Fungal Claw is not very dangerous in the back position. We'll find that out in a second. Yeah, Harmless Swipe is nothing. These two might be fighting for position, which is good for me. I've got my debuff for 2 rounds. Let's see if we can extend... Let's see if we can extend the time where I use my skills, because there's a limit to the number of times I can do the heal. So I did just put these two in better positions. It's a little bit of a worry, but they'll die on their own. May want to consider some heals, but given that this thing's got 137 health. Alright. Should have used the bandage. Let's try slapping him with a chain first. Okay, so I wanted to hold it off, but now he's dead. Okay, so let's take the opportunity to do an Inspiring Tune. I should probably be working on the Abomination a bit, but heal up who we can.
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade. Battle behind, battle ahead. But for a moment, peace.
Oh, okay. Mildred's Locket. Keepsake. The Miller Reaping. Minus 100 damage taken. Plus 40 Blight Resist. Plus 3 Speed. Plus 40 damage versus Miller. Well. See what we can do.
Anchored on solid ground once more.
I mean, not terrible, but I would have preferred to do more damage. We'll start off with a buff. Again, I do need to deal with the stress, but this is not the worst set of enemies that we're facing, so... Okay, so I do get these back. That's good, because then that means that I can heal comrades as well. I was a little worried to do this just because I feel like this is going to be a big time sink compared to taking on enemies, but I want to see what the returns on this are as well. It feels like, based on what the screen sort of shows me in the Hamlet, there's some benefits that I haven't realized yet from this like section. So, in fact, given. So I guess this implies that there might be another encounter with the Miller. Not so much for my blood resistance. Alright, this is good for a heal.
Executed with impunity.
I'm unlikely to heal the Jester out of all of the characters, so that probably is the right call. Again, trying to preserve my healing ability until it's most beneficial. So that's just a nice way of getting a tough enemy off the board as well as healing my own character. At some point I should probably do another battle ballad, or at the very least help with the stress for the abomination, but again, we actually have some good opportunities here. Should have used the anti-venom. It's 4 damage, but only 1 more round. Also, this is the character that heals, so... so they're toast. Let's see what Buckshot does. Nice. I didn't want to dedicate the character to taking out the obstacle, but I'm glad they did. Or not the obstacle, the heal. Again, it's just, like, these 2 back characters are not ones that under normal circumstances I would try and I would try to use to heal. I'm curious why I can't use this. I didn't want to, but I'm a little confused as to why it's saying I can't. Looks like we might have an opportunity to do some No, I think I'm gonna have to... Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I took a chance that they weren't going to paw the ground right away. That didn't pay off. So, again, the trample is going to suck a bit.
A dizzying blow to body and brain.
That's a little surprising. I thought there was going to be a bit more. Oh, we don't even get the kill? That's a shame.
A closer look, perhaps?
The Miller's Hearth. The fireplace is slowly coming apart, but looks functional. Flame's color is somehow wrong. Oh, cool.
Together, furtive and vulnerable. Rats in a maze.
Okay, I don't think we have... Okay, we'll try Lash's
A momentary
kiss.
abatement.
Okay. I would have preferred something that doesn't give us Use not your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight just to keep them alive. I was really hoping to do something to try and stop the ambushes. But I'm blessed with good health for today, at least. It looks bad, but there's nothing to fear here. We're straight backed as a royal guard. Good. No chance of foraging more timber now. Best press on. Okay, so I mean, this is not a terrible place to be for a new set of encounters. We're about as healthy as could be expected under the circumstances, although I should have rearranged the order. Onward. Haunting. Oh, now it's getting interesting.
Minion here.
It's a good thing we got the it's a good thing we got the heals. I suspect this is going to get quite tough quite quick, so we'll see if we can take some pieces off the board as quickly as possible. I'm going to forego the Battle Ballad for the first couple rounds. It's mostly just to try and get the Pelagic Taskmaster off the board, that is. Ouch. Maddening Shanty. Interesting. I can still inflict the bleed, though. So this might give me a little tempo for the Battle Ballad. I would still like to do the bleed, but if I keep turning down the buff, sorry, if I keep missing the opportunity for the buff, I'm never gonna get it. And the why couldn't they have gotten Stuart Chatwood for the the jig? All right, again, I like marked. I just really wish I could do more damage. Okay, so we're gonna use the bandages in this case. Okay, that's a fair amount of damage. It's this character's mark. We should get some extra damage. And this could be a weak choice, but I will do an inspiring tune on the flagellant. Just a little stress control. Oh, I didn't anticipate. Okay, no harm, no foul. So, unless some new enemies spawn...
To a killing
Ow.
blow.
Unless some new enemies spawn, this is going to be a turn. Yeah, there we go. I was going to use it as a turn for sort of like refreshing everyone, but I closed that off as a possibility. I probably should have attacked the front row because we've got a lot of attacks that deal with the middle. But can't undo, so. And again, I expect the rows to fill up after these ones go, but got some achievements. Okay, I think this is one for the abomination if I can manage it. No, I have to take an action.
Be gone, fiend.
Okay, let's get some inspiring tunes down. Nice. Okay, the insatiable ghoul's gonna be a really big problem. I do also want to deal with the paralyzing stinger, given that they can, stun some of my people. But got lucky. But yeah, it's this stress that.
For the slightest lapse in concentration.
That stress that I was worried about. Okay. Regrettably, the Jester's not going to be able to deal with that.
Another abomination cleansed from our lands.
It's 2-for-1 deal. Oh, Jesus.
The boldest gaze.
I want to focus down this one first, just because of their high protection. I get to spread a lot of the ticking damage, but man, that is... like, they also have a lot of health, so...
Mortality clarified in a
Actually,
single
this gives
strike.
me what I need, because I'm going to be able to heal the Jester. Okay, they're dead next turn. So, tough... it's tough on stress, but...
Fear consumes the mind.
Even if it's a low chance for a stun, I kind of want to take the opportunity. Well, no surprises there. I should probably try and inspire myself. Although I think the stress... I think the stress alone is going to be enough to push me over the edge. Actually, at 3, no, I should be fine. A momentary abatement. I thought for a second that was a proper enemy. I was like, oh, this is going to be bad.
At last, some sheltered corner of reality.
So I think this... I think this helped everyone last time. I should let the Jester get it just in case. Physical needs are satisfied. Yes, okay. So I think that's what we needed for the... I think that's what we needed to sort of push on to the end. I'm curious what happens... after the... Oh!
The poor fool still stands.
Interesting.
His precious mill.
Is this the same man portrayed in the locket? Okay, let's mark him. I think I'm... Yeah, that didn't help Jester any, but... Oof! Okay, I have to Inspiring Tune first, and then we can do the Battle Ballad. Yeah, I was hoping things wouldn't get out of...
Grievous injury.
I was hoping things wouldn't get out of control before we got some damage on him. I mean, he's protected against bleed, so I don't see a whole lot of value in raining down on him. So Rake builds on its own strength, but yeah, I think we're still going to go for the Miller. Oh god, what does this do?
Dazed, reeling, about to break.
Huh. How am I gonna handle... Okay, well, clearly we need to get rid of the Scarecrow first. So I guess it's protected by the frozen farmhand. Oh, come on. So, Buckshot just to try and clear out the... Nope, that doesn't help. Oh, that's really inconvenient. Actually, I think arguably the Flagellant was the least appropriate character to put the locket on. So gotta be careful about hard attacks, but that's what the Jester's for. Alright, this thing's done. Let's see if we can... Ooh.
There can be no hope in this.
Oh, come on.
No hope at all.
It's a delicate situation. I really want to take out the Miller here, but oh man. Okay, let's see what Buckshot gets me.
Injury and despondence set the stage for heroism or cowardice.
Ugh. So this could be healing the Miller again. Oh, are you kidding me? All right.
Eradicated.
Hey, Despair Embodied. Actually, I'm going to do a Battle Ballad first. And at this point, I just need to chip away. Again, could have used a different outcome. So there's a challenge here. Do I heal the Abomination or do I heal the Mark's Musketeer? The answer is neither. I prefer taking out the healing for the Miller than the alternative. But again, that's another round where the Abomination doesn't get healed. Ugh. So I can't transform again. Okay. Yeah, until I find a better way of doing some damage to the Miller, I think we're pretty much on a trajectory for a loss. How you doing, Night Valiant?
Such a terrible assault cannot be left unanswered.
It's going okay. I really want to win this fight that I'm in, but I sort of question whether or not I have what it takes. This Abomination is incredibly lucky. Thing is, I don't know if I can really afford to risk the Jester and the Musketeer like I am right now. So unless I see something like really turn around for me here, I think the best call is to try and make an escape. Yeah, there's just 3 people at death's door. There's no way that's...
And now the true test. Hold fast or expire. Survival.
That's not actually that big of a problem.
In this sprawling tomb. A setback, but not the end of things.
So that's better than what we had before. Yeah, obviously the fight with the Miller definitely unraveled. Still, that was fun. So yeah, I'm not, again, Raleigh was a mercenary, so I don't really know if there's any consequence to losing them. We already have another Abomination mercenary, and Kuswalt and Lyborg had something to do.
In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
Raleigh is gone, lost in the dimensions beyond time and space. The mercenaries reclaimed 4 shards as payment for their efforts. Okay. Oh, that doesn't count as a... That doesn't seem to count as a proper... Or maybe it does. Nope, looks like that doesn't actually count as a proper day... set aside. Okay. So, let's... I think it was the church that had the... Yes. Okay. So, I was debating on... This is like a pseudo rant. I was debating on saying something. I've been a little distracted during the stream, and I think I'm going to take a very brief detour into just chatting. And I had a couple things that I wanted to talk about. So I'm sorry to pull something of like a bait and switch on the stream. I debated on doing it like at the front, but I was kind of on the fence about whether or not this is something that I wanted to talk about. And as I kind of played the game, I said, yeah, I think this is what's going on. So basically, it's no secret to anyone that there's a war going on. And there's always wars going on the world, but there's a particularly major one through Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And obviously, this is a very long-standing problem. Ukraine has been fighting Russia for a very long time. But obviously, like everybody knows this, right? Everybody knows that this hit a new level that it hadn't before. And one of the big challenges that I think we can sometimes run into, like if you go on Twitch, you're going to see some channels which will immediately have like a donation bar for, for Ukraine. And there's a few things to sort of say about that. Like, even if it comes down to a question of sincerity or something like that, because I think we've talked sometimes about how, I think everybody's kind of got a friend on their timelines who apparently is like a constitutional scholar and, an expert in international diplomacy. And also, while they were pursuing those high-level academic studies, they also became an epidemiologist. We definitely seem to be in an environment where it feels like you have to say something about everything that happens. But I should also mention that one of my coworkers is Ukrainian and actually has family in Kyiv. So in terms of the donation thing, the first thing that I wanted to do was actually do something for my coworker. And I also wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about, well, I think maybe it's better to say show a couple of things about what's going on. And there is one option I would like to draw to your attention, and it's because I think it's something that's going to be ignored for the better part. And the biggest reason, before I do any of this, I think one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to go from just sort of leaving it unsaid, because again, I do think that there is a very strong danger in terms of streamers feeling that they have to have a take on something or that they have to speak about it. And then there's, of course, the other side where you don't want to get so cynical or worried about what other people are saying that you don't talk about or give support for other things. But again, just because there's sort of this performative aspect to a lot of charity or goodwill or whatever, particularly on Twitch, I sometimes feel that I don't just want to talk about things. I want to try and talk about it in a way that it will potentially bring about a better outcome than normal. And just to be clear about this, right? I know there's a benefit to try and draw, especially to make yourself look very good. There's always a benefit to try and draw an us versus them dynamic, and that's not what I'm trying to do. Even let's say that every charitable effort, provided of course that the money's actually going to the intended recipient, but there's ways that you can verify that. Let us say that every single charity effort that you saw had nothing but the most selfish motives. I still think it's worth it to do. And in fact, for those of you who, I think this is a question that comes up for a lot of people. For those of you who are interested, there is actually a play by George Bernard Shaw that's specifically about this. It's called Major Barbara. And it's about a Salvation Army officer who's sort of given this offer. I think it's from an arms manufacturer. Basically is given a donation from an arms manufacturer. And the dilemma is whether or not it's right to take this money for the good works. And for those of you who are familiar with the Salvation Army, which I'm going to assume are very few, but that is actually an environment in which I grew up. I believe it was William Booth, the founder of it, who basically said, he would, I can't remember exactly, he'd take a donation from the devil to make sure that it was put towards good ends and not his, or something like that. So it's not a play that people are, I'm not really here to sort of advocate or condemn the Salvation Army. It just happens to be that when Shaw was writing, the Salvation Army was very much a new thing. And it's, Major Barbaro was basically a play in which, he also, I think he has an essay in the front where he pretty much lets his ideals be known. And one of the reasons why I actually think about that play more often is that you'll very often hear from people about, people's intentions behind donations, and, they're so pure that they're not going to take certain types of money. And at least as far as Shaw is concerned, that's not the right approach, that it is in fact better to, have the money go for good ends, regardless of its origin. That's not necessarily the last word on it, but I just wanted to be really clear that I'm not attempting to draw a distinction between good donation and bad donation. Again, even if someone had the worst possible motives, like the only reason why they put that up is they knew it was a thing and that they would get more clicks. I think, if it gets $1 that would have gone toward, or that wouldn't have gone towards Ukraine, that does, I still think it's done something good. But I was pushed into wanting to talk because I saw a NPR article, and the NPR article was basically, how to cope with the really negative news. Like the tone of this thing essentially almost seemed to be that the real victim in all of this were the NPR tote bag wielding viewers who would have to see something inconvenient. And this sort of thing is egregious and big and potentially scary enough for some people that I think it reaches that level where even people who might be inclined to think that way sort of see the absurdity of it. But it did sort of occur to me that, again, my own feelings about, sometimes keeping your own counsel when it comes to serious issues. It was one of these points where I sort of thought, well, you know what? I do actually have some strong feelings on this, and I wanted to talk about it. Because while I don't necessarily think there's a lot of people who watch and will just say, it's like, I'm just too stressed out. There's just too much going on in the world right now. I just can't handle seeing images like that. I do also think there are some people who just get very tired of a lot of political things going on. I do very often hear, there's some friends of mine who are talking, and what they were talking about were how the political parties in their country, they're American, seem to be using the crisis for their own ends and sort of their own talking points. And again, to me, this sort of seems to be missing the point. This is very much about Ukraine and its desire to be a free and sovereign nation. And the fact that there is an unambiguous effort to use military force to take that away. And if you know the history of this, there are a number of very, very, very troubling implications about Ukraine being brought under Russia again. So what I wanted to do was start by showing two things that I think people should watch. And I hope you've seen this already. But if you haven't, I thought in the grand scheme of things, this is going to amount to about 10 minutes of broadcast. And I think at the very least, it's worth letting Ukraine speak for itself, let the facts speak for themselves. And then I have an action that it might be something you want to do. It might be something that you recommend for others. But I wanted to sort of talk about a response to these events and essentially leave it at that. And in the end, I rationalized it to myself, which is, we're going to be playing games for at least 3 hours tonight. 10 minutes out of 3 hours for people who are fighting and dying for their freedoms is not a lot to ask. So, to begin with, for those of you who have not seen this speech, this is the President Volodymyr Zelensky, and this is his speech to the Russian people. Now, this is going to be in Russian, but it has English subtitles. So I know people like having me on background. And even if you've seen this before, I would encourage you, I don't normally ask people for participation, but if you're watching in the other window, it's a 9-minute video. I only ask that you actually see and listen to read what's being said, unless you happen to know Russian. Of course, it's not working. All right, I think it's working now.
Сегодня я инициировал телефонный разговор с президентом Российской Федерации. Результат – тишина. Хотя тишина должна быть на Донбассе. Поэтому сегодня я хочу обратиться ко всем гражданам России. Не как президент. Я обращаюсь к российским гражданам как гражданин Украины. С вами нас разделяет более 2000 километров общей границы. Вдоль нее сегодня стоят ваши войска, почти 200 тысяч солдат, тысячи боевых машин. Ваше руководство одобрило их шаг вперед на территорию другой страны. И этот шаг может стать началом большой войны на европейском континенте. О том, что может произойти со дня на день, сегодня говорит весь мир. Причина может возникнуть в любой момент. Любая провокация, любая вспышка. Вспышка, которая может сжечь все. Вам говорят, что это пламя принесет освобождение народу Украины. Но украинский народ свободен. Он помнит о своем прошлом и сам строит свое будущее. Строит, а не разрушает. Как рассказывают вам каждый день по телевизору. Украина в ваших новостях и Украина в реальной жизни – это две совершенно разные страны. И главное, их отличие в том, что наше настоящее. Вам говорят, что мы нацисты. Но разве может поддерживать нацизм народ, который за победу над нацизмом отдал больше 8 миллионов жизней? Как могу быть нацистом я? Расскажите об этом моему деду, который прошел всю войну в пехоте советской армии, а умер полковником в независимой Украине. Вам говорят, что мы ненавидим русскую культуру. Как можно ненавидеть культуру? Любую культуру. Соседи всегда обогащают друг друга культурно, однако это не делает их единым целым, не растворяет нас в вас. Мы разные, но это не повод быть врагами. Мы хотим сами определять и строить свою историю мирно, спокойно, честно. Вам говорили, что я прикажу наступать на Донбасс, стрелять, бомбить без вопросов. Хотя вопросы есть и очень простые. Стрелять в кого? Что бомбить? Донецк, в котором я бывал десятки раз. Видел лица, глаза. Артема, по которой я гулял с друзьями. Донбасс-арену, где болел с местными за наших украинских пацанов на евро. Парк Щербакова, где мы вместе выпивали, когда наши пацаны проиграли. Луганск, дом, где живет мать моего лучшего друга. Место, где похоронен отец моего лучшего друга. Заметьте, я говорю сейчас на русском языке, но никто в России не понимает о чем? Эти названия, эти улицы, эти фамилии, эти события. Это все для вас чужое, незнакомое. Это наша земля, это наша история. За что вы будете воевать? И с кем? Многие из вас бывали в Украине. У многих из вас есть родня в Украине. Кто-то учился в украинских вузах, дружил с украинцами. Вы знаете наш характер, вы знаете наших людей, вы знаете наши принципы. Вам известно, чем мы дорожим. Так прислушайтесь же к себе, к голосу разума, к здравому смыслу. Услышьте нас. Народ Украины хочет мира. Власть Украины хочет мира. Хочет и делает. Делает все. Все, что может. Мы не одни. Это правда. Украину в этом поддерживает множество стран. Почему? Да потому что речь не о мире любой ценой. Речь о мире и о принципах, о справедливости, о международном праве, о праве на самоопределение, праве самим определять свое будущее, праве каждого общества на безопасность и праве каждого человека на жизнь без угроз. Это все важно для нас. Это все важно для мира. Я точно знаю, что это важно и для вас. Мы точно знаем, нам не нужна война, не холодная, не горячая, не гибридная. Но если на нас будут наступать войска, если у нас попытаются отнять нашу страну, нашу свободу, наши жизни, жизни наших детей, мы будем защищаться. Не наступать, защищаться. Наступая, вы будете видеть наши лица, не наши спины, наши лица. Война – это большая беда, и у этой беды большая цена во всех смыслах этого слова. Люди теряют деньги, репутацию, уровень жизни, теряют свободу, но самое главное – люди теряют своих близких, теряют себя. На войне всегда всего не хватает. Чего хватает с лихвой – это боли, грязи, крови и смерти. Тысяч, десятков тысяч смертей. Вам говорят, что Украина может представлять угрозу для России. Этого не было в прошлом, нет сейчас, не будет в будущем. Вы требуете гарантий безопасности от НАТО. И мы требуем гарантий нашей безопасности. Безопасности Украины. От вас, от России и от других гарантов Будапештского меморандума. Сегодня мы находимся вне любых оборонных альянсов. Безопасность Украины связана с безопасностью наших соседей. Поэтому сегодня надо говорить о безопасности всей Европы. Но наша главная цель – мир в Украине и безопасность наших граждан, украинцев. Для этого мы готовы говорить об этом со всеми, в том числе и с вами, в разных форматах, на любых площадках. Война лишит гарантий всех. Гарантий безопасности не будет больше ни у кого. Кто от этого пострадает больше всего? Люди. Кто этого не хочет больше всего? Люди. Кто может этого не допустить? Люди. Если эти люди среди вас, уверен, общественные деятели, журналисты, музыканты, актеры, спортсмены, ученые, доктора, блогеры, стендаперы, тиктокеры и многие другие обычные люди. Обычные, простые люди. Мужчины, женщины, старики, дети, отцы и, главное, матери. Ровно так же, как и люди в Украине. Так же, как власть в Украине. Как бы вас ни пытались убедить в обратном, я знаю, что это мое обращение не покажет по российскому телевидению. Но граждане России должны его увидеть. Они должны знать правду. А правда в том, что нужно остановиться. пока не поздно. И если руководство России не хочет ради мира садиться за стол с нами, возможно, оно сядет за стол с вами. Хотят ли русские войны? Я очень хотел бы ответить на этот вопрос, но ответ зависит только от вас, граждане Российской Федерации. Дякую за увагу.
All right. So, some context for who is speaking. The president is in very real danger of losing his life. And this would either be through a conscious effort at assassination, or this is potentially due to the fact that he has refused to leave the capital even as it's been breached. This means that, at least the last that I had checked, the Russian forces did not hold the city, but there was fighting inside of it. And I think it's fair to say that the entire city is no longer under control, under the control of the Ukrainian government. It's actually also worth mentioning that in addition to the president, I believe most, if not all, of the ministers have actually stayed in the city. So I think in addition to a very, very cogent, very moving speech to the Russian people, I really do think that this president has risen to the occasion. I don't think very many people sort of are tested in quite the same way that he is. And I think even fewer people will actually stand and, give everything. One of the very remarkable things about this, about the last couple of days, has been how well the Ukrainian army has held out, because they are outnumbered, they are outgunned. The Russian Federation spends 10 times as much on its defense budget as Ukraine does. And even the question of aid has been somewhat uncertain. In the case of Germany, they offered 5,000 helmets, which I believe arrived yesterday. Even Canada was quite late in bringing support for lethal weapons. There were other supports, there were other loans that were made, but in terms of the ability to defend themselves, they are very much facing an overwhelming force. And so, at least as far as what I follow, I think there had been an expectation that Ukraine's air defenses would have been overwhelmed within the first day. And again, it's a fluid situation, but they do still seem to be flying sorties, and they do still seem to have some capabilities there. Now, to a certain extent, I think there is an entertainment component to this. And to a certain extent, I think there is something right about celebrating some of these actions that I'm going to talk about. But I also think this is the sort of thing where, because it's someone else and it's far away, you can maybe get a little too excited by these kinds of stories. And I think there's a second half to this, which I'm going to be getting to. But we've sort of been hearing the stories of, the Ukrainian woman who tells an occupying Russian soldier to keep sunflower seeds in his pocket so flowers can grow when he dies on Ukrainian soil. And the 13 guards, when the Russian warship essentially orders them to drop their weapons and walk away, and their reply is "fuck off, Russian warship," and every single one of them was killed. Again, these are acts of tremendous courage, and there is something very, very admirable about it. It's why I think people have been surprised at how little progress there has been. Very much the expectation on the Russian side seems to have been something not unlike what happened in Afghanistan, where in the face of sort of an overwhelming force, people would just drop the weapons and turn away. and that hasn't happened. But I do also think that those stories are going to be going away very quickly. And I think what we are going to be seeing over the next little while are the really, really sad bits. Because I don't think we should have any illusions about the relative odds here. It does not seem to be a policy option for anyone concerned to commit troops to Ukraine's defense other than Ukraine. And the numbers are not in their favor. As Zelensky said, there is over 2,000 kilometers of border. The Russians have more guns, more people, and they can just simply commit a lot more. I personally, not that I am an expert on this, but I personally do not see a situation in which Russia doesn't gain control of the country if it commits enough. The question of holding it is another matter, but this isn't going to be a lecture on insurgency. What I do want to communicate, though, is that, as terrible as war is, some of the stuff that gets shared and some of the stuff that we're seeing right now can still sort of be in like the quote unquote epic / party-ish side of things. And so what I also wanted to show is something that the Ukrainians are up against. Now, I hesitated to put this in, one, because I know YouTube actually has some guidelines in terms of the material that you show. So this is going to be footage from Ukraine. I can let you know that nobody in this video is killed. I do actually find it an upsetting video, largely because of the reactions of the people recording. But in this case here, I think there's some value in seeing this. And I just kind of wanted to let people know, particularly if you're sensitive to these things. I've already asked you to see Zelensky's speech. I'm now actually going to be showing you something from Ukraine. And I do ask that you don't look away on this, because what's going to follow is sort of at least how I have tried to make some sense of it for myself and how I've responded. But this was recorded. I don't actually recall where this was in Ukraine, but what this is some of you may have heard of this already, but this is a Russian tank that actually swerves to hit a civilian car. And again, I will assure you the driver is fine. There's subsequent footage of him being, I don't know what happened subsequent to him being extracted from his car, but you were not witnessing a death on this. I think that would be unseemly. But this is a Russian tank. And this is appalling. There's no reason for them to do that other than, just pure malice. And again, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it. I was extremely angry and upset when I saw that video the first time. You can't even say, an accident or, they got in the way. It's very clear from the video, and there's multiple angles of this tank going out of its way to run over a civilian car. And again, I must stress that the owner of that car was extracted from it, was alive at the moment. So this is what they're up against. And there's going to be more of this. And there's going to be increasingly sad stories. There's going to be increasingly depressing stories coming out of this. And the fun stuff of, the ready-made stories of the badass things that the Ukrainians say to the occupying forces. Those are going to go further away in memory. And we're going to be left with either the sad stories, or even worse, we're going to move on to something else, which I'm really uncomfortable with, because it's entirely too easy to just sort of move on to the next big news story. And I do also want to highlight again what I had said about Zelensky. He has been offered, so far as I can tell, sort of an exit from the country. He's chosen to stay. And this is a decision that I think is very likely to cost him his life. But it is also one of these things that almost certainly is giving people even more resolve to stay and fight and to defend what's theirs. From what I had heard, there are actually more people volunteering in Kyiv than there are guns available to them. And so that brings me to sort of the call to action part about this. There are a lot of people who are asking for money for Ukraine. And there's a lot of very good organizations that are doing that. And the fact that are doing something related to this conflict. And the fact of the matter is that there is a lot of people who ask a lot of you financially all the time, whether that's subbing to a channel, whether that is, donating. I think in a lot of cases, some communities really sort of rest on a handful of, people who sort of disproportionately donate and gift. And all of that is fine. These are all choices for people. But, the thing is that there's always going to be another cause, and there's always going to be another, there's always going to be another ask. And it's hard to say no to a lot of these because they're all worthwhile. But before I stream today, in addition to helping my coworker, I did do another donation. And I want to talk about specifically this donation that I made, and to at least suggest that you think about it. Because this particular donation is going to be the one that I think is the most overlooked. And I also think it is the one that, to me, was the most unambiguous in terms of what I wanted to support and what I wanted to put money towards. I've noticed a lot of game developers are supporting humanitarian causes. You are seeing donations to War Child, you're seeing donations to the Red Cross, the Red Crescent, and all of these are great. Again, the purpose here is not to do the contrast with good donations and bad donations. In the end, people are going to choose their means of support. They're going to exercise their best judgment. The one I'm talking about is actually one that, to me, will have the greatest return on what I put in. You may decide the same yourself by the end of this little discussion. And I wanted to talk both about sort of why I went sort of above it and why I specifically wanted to talk about this one. Because I would sort of say, if I were a more selfish person, I would say that, this war came at a particularly inconvenient time. I've already got my last paycheck for the month. I had sort of some plans in terms of the money, and, learning of a coworker in distress, and then also a country that I feel a certain responsibility to, give whatever meager assistance I can financially. It's not a good time, and it's never a good time. There's always something. In the end, we go to work, we give up our time, one of the most precious things that we have, so that we can get the things that we need and that we like. And every single time we do some kind of giveaway, that's time that's no longer for us. And of course, gifts are wonderful things, and we do seem to have a wonderful culture of giving. But in the end, there is a limit to that. You can't fix everything, and sometimes money doesn't solve everything. But in the case of this conflict, there is actually a way to donate directly to the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. So this link is ukraine.ua. And in fact, you can do some verifications for yourself. I will try and step you through a few of these. But I wanted to talk a little bit about why I didn't, not just why I specifically put money towards this, but why I wanted specifically to talk about this and try and do some degree of advocacy for it. One of the biggest considerations I have whenever I do some kind of a donation is to see how directly I can be supporting the thing that I want to financially support. The Canadian War Museum has a program to show sort of, various relics. Maybe not relic is the right term, but basically to go across the country and show some of its possessions to school students. I think that's really important and worthwhile, and that is something that I have donated money to. I value education. I value the study of history. I specifically value the study of Canadian history because we maybe don't learn as much of it as you might think. And in this particular case here, it's me directly funding the people who are doing this program. I think we have all heard stories of donations that go to organizations which have very high administrative fees. And so a certain portion of the money that we are giving is going to sort of perpetuating the organization rather than helping the cause. I think some people feel that this may have been what's happened to the Milton Hershey Foundation. And so in addition to the fact that there are a lot of people making asks of you, it is actually quite a fraught environment in terms of knowing, where the money's going and how it's being used. So in addition to wanting to make sure that my money goes as far as it can in terms of a donation, just in terms of the cause, let's say, I also want to make sure that the money is being transmitted in an efficient way. And so to me, donating directly to the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense for logistical and medical support is about as direct as I can possibly get. And I chose this over a humanitarian group because, again, I do not want to underplay the importance of humanitarian efforts. Again, the aim here is not to run someone down in the name of building something up. But the fact of the matter is that the invasion is going to be slowed down, if not halted. And again, I already expressed my pessimism over the idea of it sort of being, completely pushed back. That's going to be done by Ukrainian soldiers, and they need the support. It's a over 2,000 kilometer border, and they're outnumbered, and logistics matter. Being able to get the things where they need to go matters a lot. Being able to save a life, to make sure that somebody is able to stand and fight for their country is incredibly important when you are outnumbered. And we already know that from a purely monetary point of view, the Russian Federation has spent 10 times as much on their defense budget as Ukraine. And so in this particular case here, to be able to directly support the people who are doing this work, I see value for it. The thing that absolutely pushed me over the edge and makes me want to talk about this is the fact that they have done so much more than what people thought that they would, for that ideal of making sure that the money that gets spent is being used as far as it can. I can think of no better stewards for the money that I want to give to Ukraine than the people fighting for it. But the last reason why I wanted to talk about this was not necessarily because I have a particular preference for this choice, but because this is actually also one of the harder ways to donate the money. A lot of different organizations, as part of those administrative funds, which again, you need to pay administrators. It's not that that number should always be zero, but they have the advantage of being able to set up this infrastructure. They can integrate with Twitch. They can set up something so that you can donate by PayPal. In the case of the Ukrainian treasury, there are laws that are in place to prevent things like PayPal donations. The question of getting money directly to this organization is non-trivial. And what this is going to ask of you is it's going to ask you to do an international bank transfer. So where if you're watching a Twitch streamer or if you are seeing someone's links on another website, it's going to be infinitely easier to click to one of these other organizations. And yet I also want to stress that if you want to support the people who are saying, fuck off Russian warship, the people who are taking up a weapon and fighting for their country, that option is available to you. And I felt the exact same reluctance to do that kind of donation because it's complicated. But man, as soon as I saw that NPR article talking about how you can protect yourself from seeing the bad news, that certainly gave me pause in terms of thinking, am I really going to let inconvenience make me, not do the donation that is the best I think I can do? And so I can't tell you how to spend your money. For those of you who are in a position to donate, I would strongly recommend that you consider this option. And what I want to do just at the end is I want to take you through exactly how it works and what it's going to be done. And then I can also sort of share sort of a very sort of hand-wavy bit of due diligence that I did in terms of this. You can check the website yourself. It's already inside of chat. But this number here, I believe, is directly for the Ukrainians. Down below, so due to numerous requests from individuals and legal entities who are not residents of Ukraine and wish to make donations in foreign currency for the logistics and medical support of the armed forces of Ukraine, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine has set up a designated bank account. So, at least in my bank, to initiate so first of all, I couldn't do this on my mobile phone. I had to go over to my laptop and set everything up. I listed as the beneficiary of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, and it does ask for an address, which I put in here. So I believe, I don't recall if they will ask only for the IBAN or the SWIFT number. I personally found it easier to use the SWIFT because at that point it correctly identified the State Export-Import Bank of Ukraine. The currencies that are allowed: US dollars, euro, British pounds, Swiss francs, Canadian dollars, Polish zloty, Czech crowns, Russian rubles, and Australian dollars. So, of course, if you're not in those currencies, there will also likely be a foreign currency cost for you. My bank charges $6 for an international funds transfer. I did also tweet at them saying that I thought, I happily pay for my existing banking services and that perhaps it would be better if they would consider waiving transfers to this specific number. I do also highly recommend that you, under the additional information, that you do specify that it is a donation for logistic and medical support for the armed forces of Ukraine. So all in all, what you're probably going to need to do is you're going to need to log into your bank account. You're going to need to not just initiate an international transfer, but you are probably going to first have to set up a recipient. And you're going to need to use some of this information, not all of it. Again, I think the SWIFT number is probably the most helpful, and you may or may not need to use the IBAN depending on how your bank works. And you can expect a fee. Please take that fee on yourself. Do not stick the bill to the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, because every dollar that they are paying in bank fees is a dollar that does not go towards logistical and medical support for their soldiers. And this is why I wanted to talk about this, because yes, this is hard to do. It's a pain in the ass. It's inconvenient. But there is tremendous courage that has been displayed. I don't think anybody in Ukraine has any illusions as to what they are up against. And it is precisely for that reason that I am going to take the extra step to make sure that that is going as directly as I possibly can to the people who are fighting to stop stuff like that tank rolling over that car. And in the end, I can't even be in a position to ask you to do that donation. All I can really ask you is to not look away when you see this kind of news. And when you consider your own situation, if you have the means, I would ask that you at least consider it and decide for yourself what the line is for you in terms of deciding what you need to support. Because to me, seeing Zelensky's speech, seeing what's happened, and seeing the stand that the people are taking, those are things that told me that every single dollar that I sent there is going to be used far better than anywhere else that I could think of putting it. And because I know that we always look for convenience, whether it's moving away from material that we find uncomfortable, or just in terms of doing our good deed for the day and finding the one that will take one mouse click as opposed to 5 or 6. I really wanted to take the time here and say that if you like considering your donations, this is the answer I came up with when I sat down and said, if I'm going to be putting money towards this, this is what I think it is. So again, I apologize for taking the time away from the game, but I didn't want to be the kind of person who, I don't know, the NPR story is written for. There was one last thing that I was going to say. I know some of you are concerned about due diligence, so I'm just going to see if I can find the link that I brought up before. Yes, okay. So, this was just something I could find. I mean, this is just IBAN.com, but in terms of checking out the IBAN number from that website, so 9738. 9738. You'll also see this inside of your own bank account, but this is, the BIC matches up, the address matches up. This is one of several options that you have, but essentially, if you want to know where your money is going, this is where it's claiming. These are the identifiers for it, and insofar as you want to check to make sure that this is a legitimate address, because again, the other sources that make it easier also hold that certain credibility. That's one means. And again, everybody's banks are a little bit different. My bank actually gives quite a bit of information about the destination once you put that information inside. And so for me, that was... that was kind of my at the same time bit of due diligence. But I hope that didn't come off as too badgering. I hope that it comes across in the spirit that it was intended, and I hope, if nothing else, that you feel that you are more informed to say, yes, I actually want to show that support, or I am at least making an informed decision to decide not to participate. And I thank you all for listening to me talk about that. Oh, I just got a welcome to the chat room. So if somebody said anything after I put that link in the chat, I did not see it, and I apologize. Please feel free to repeat it Please feel to repeat it if you said something that you wanted me to see and I didn't reply to. Okay. Okay, I've got a short exploration, so I don't feel good about this. But let's do a 3-person exploration in the ruins and see if we can get some extra levels on our our limited group. Grave danger awaits the underprepared. Do you wish to continue without a full contingent? Yes. Because they won't let me do anything else. 2 blood to deal with my occultist, 2 shovels, and we'll top out the food. So we should be okay healing-wise, but I'm a little nervous. Actually, if you'll just give me a quick second, I'm just going to refill my water. I'll be back in just a moment. I just took a look at my numbers. It says I lost literally everyone for talking about Ukraine. I'm going to look at my stats to see if I had a bigger viewer before. Because if I did, I'm fucking angry.
Is the weapon that cuts on its own.
Okay, so the healing is definitely going to be a struggle.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter. Slowly, gently. This is how a life is taken.
Okay, so... oh, we already have weird reconstruction. Okay, I think we...
The light.
I think we can handle
the
it.
promise of safety.
Glittering gold, trinkets and baubles, paid for in blood.
So, let me just make sure. Oof, I almost made a big boo-boo. So you got to be careful sort of in the first rounds of the combat, but I think we'll be okay. Preferably I'll avoid the death's door, but...
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
I think we'll just try and deal with as many damage dealers as we can. So self-weird reconstruction and
Mortality clarified in
the
a single
first two will take care of the rest. Okay, that's lucky. 1 damage around is I'm okay with that price. Ouch.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Oof.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
It's not going to give me as many healing opportunities as I would normally want, but given that we're already over halfway on the stress, I'm gonna try and have it both ways. So I'm gonna use the flagellant, at least for the first little while, to try and deal damage to the bone court here. Ah. Okay. Oh my god, really? This is a costly battle. Okay, so nothing I can really do about this, so we'll... Oh, Jesus!
Their formation is broken.
Yeah, I was hoping for more healing on that, but...
Offensive. Mechanical hazards possessed by evil intent.
So it's still been telling me old journal entries, but I still haven't collected the entire journal. I'm curious if there's something that I'm missing, or if there's something that's just in a special region for the final entries. But we'll figure it out at some point. I don't care enough about it that I'm going out of my way to look. So I would really prefer to be using my weird reconstruction here, but I can get a heal in from the flagellant. And it's kind of important for me to deal with the cultist acolyte, given how high the stress on Olaf II is. So we'll do the best with what we've been given, and... Okay, so he's almost certainly going to get a debuff. We're gonna save the Bone Defender for last, just because it's gonna absorb the most damage from us. So more Abyssal Artillery, and hopefully the rain will deal with the last of it. Ah. I mean, I suppose the good news is that... Oh, that's not going to be good. So, yet another round of the Acolyte and the Arbalist. I have one more round. I'm gonna try and run it out just so I can maximize my healing. But I will do a Zealous Accusation because I know I'm gonna hit him with the whips. I think the Weakening Curse is just what the doctor ordered here.
Power. A powerful blow.
It's questionable if one can exsanguinate a skeleton, but...
Success so clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of the light? In
Radiance, may we find victory.
So the fact that I went to the mill sort of suggests that I may not be able to make it to a boss, but we'll see. We'll kind of see what the team looks like when we hit. Another battle. I guess we'll see what it looks like when everybody's stress is kind of dealt with. So it's not the most efficient use of my abyssal artillery, but I do want to take out that cultist acolyte. Well, it's too. Oh no. I can accept the hit to the meat. I really don't want to risk the stress from the acolyte, at least until we're closer to the end. So not a whole lot that I can do here. We just hit the closest one and hope for the best, but. Yeah. Alright, Olaf has become irrational.
Reeling, gasping, taken over the edge into madness.
Ooh, bad luck.
A slow death, unforeseen, unforgiving.
All right, look, there's no way to put a good spin on that, but we survived, and I've got the opportunity to heal later on. So I think probably we'll have at least two. Well, I guess we're only guaranteed one, but I think we'll probably have about 2 more fights before we get to the end. We don't necessarily have to explore the whole thing through, but given the fact that at least one person's going to be stress healing, doesn't really matter if we flog the team. Basically, the only thing I don't want to do is put my team in a situation where they might die. Stashed loot. What lies beyond this gilded ornament? Who threw that? No.
Injury and despondence set the stage for heroism or cowardice.
Okay, so pretty important to get the heal in. I'll follow up with the occultist as well, but the problem is that if this turn with 2 healers doing their thing, it basically means that I'm only having one unit who is one unit doing damage while 4 are dealing damage. So if I think I can heal my way out of this, I am sorely mistaken. I do need to get my Crusader up to scratch though. Fun. So I don't know if this is the actual origin, but I believe the origin of the term "up to scratch" comes from sort of bare knuckle boxing, where it would be, or actually was that maybe, no, sorry, I think it was toe the line. Anyways, it'd be like the lines where you go. It actually could be both of them. Anyways, one of those had their origins in bare knuckle boxing. Basically, it was like you getting to the line and showing that you're like ready to go. We're still going to try and heal the Crusader, but I think I'm going to probably share the love with the Flagellant again. Can I get away? I really want to try and wait one more turn on this. Let's bring down the Rain of Sorrows. Okay, that's good. That gets rid of 2 sources of damage. I think I'm going to do a battle heal on myself just so I don't cross to death's door. And then I'll use my ability to heal the Crusader. Oh, that's good timing. You're kidding me. Just stop touching me! So obviously we'll use weird reconstruction. Leave me be! I'm not even wounded. Ugh. Okay, then we will do a weakening curse for that protection. In this case, I'm going to self-heal just because I don't think... Again, I'd rather not have him do damage, but I think it's a little more important to try and preserve my Crusader, at least as much as I can.
The wounds of war can be...
Okay, I needed that.
But never hidden. Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious
We'll burn the
killer.
last torch. This might put me on the back foot for the last little bit, but again, we're getting close to the 90% mark that we wanted. Not the best trap group, huh?
Curious is the trap maker's art. His efficacy unwitnessed by his own eyes.
So I guess the good news is that we don't have we don't have any fights coming up. One more room. So I guess the prediction of 2 fights was right, just for the wrong reasons. So I forgot to change the order, but I think we can get through it. I am a little worried about the potential for stress here. But I think I'd just take my lumps and do my best.
Impressive.
The Abyssal Artillery should help a little bit, although I think the Supplicants are going to wind up adjusting their positions a bit. I really shouldn't be spreading things out like this because the ability to heal is a very real danger. So I think Crusader will focus on the Sycophant, the Flagellant will sort of Reign of Sorrows the Supplicant back, and then maybe... oh, good. Okay, Abyssal Artillery should hopefully push us over the edge. Like, bless my allies that they may stop fooling around! Okay, so as much as I would like to exsanguinate, I think in this case, yeah, we're already going to take out 2 just through sort of... Okay. It's not the end of the world if I don't fully heal this character, like they're doing okay. I never realized how fun some of the dialogue for Irrational is. Okay, 6 damage, so really the Supplicant is the last... Good lord. So we'll do a Weakening Hex on our target. And then the rest we just beat the crap out of the target of choice.
Ghoulish horrors, brought low and driven into the mud.
Okay. Debating as to whether or not I want to try the last room. I normally do,
Are often low on supplies.
but I may want to at least allow myself the option of escape. we kind of...
The sparkling
Oh my
eyes
God.
of youth, twisted and made merciless. The great ruins belong to us, and we will find whatever secrets they hold.
Yeah, we're not doing the collector on a 3-person party. I think some of you remember the corridor of doom from last time.
I see something long absent in the sunken faces of passers-by. A glimmer of hope.
Cuzzolt blacked out and misplaced a trinket, bleed charm. Okay, that's unfortunate. Had a night on the town and recovered 70 stress. Korban lost 1,000 gold after becoming overcome with emotion and donating generously. Liborg meditated, recovered 77 stress. Wisant has cured rabies. Mathan is still missing. Raleigh somehow returned from being lost in time and space and will never speak of what occurred. Kai LB has returned from... Wait a minute! That was one of the mercenaries. That's nuts. Okay. And we had a couple of levels ups. So I've talked about how I don't like this on certain channels. But I kind of want to check in with everyone. Does anybody want to see me still keep going on this? Because I will confess, I realize that the channel doesn't have that high of a viewership. But I'm actually kind of feeling quite discouraged by the fact that I actually kind of care about the Ukraine thing. And it seems that there was a big penalty to be paid for talking about that. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about knowing that people are like that. So I don't know. I'm happy to keep going. And if I don't hear from anyone, I may still keep carrying on. But is anybody here who would like to see me keep streaming, or has this kind of run its course and I just need to know not to talk about stuff I care about in the future? Highwaymen. I mean, we're really just looking for occultists, flagellants, and crusaders at this point. So probably a run with level 4s is the right... Yeah, actually, we can probably make something of that. So you've got an option for the wield, which is a long one, or a medium. I think we can give it a shot. So we'll take Wisant and Cruel. Actually, I think I'll put Wisant in the front, Fortier at the front. So the question here would be, do I bring Korban for the heal, or do I try bringing Fitzroy for the cash? It's very, very tempting to bring Fitzroy, but the challenge is that for a long encounter, I kind of need to think about where the heal's coming from. And yeah, I think I'll bring Korban, especially because we already have Theon, and I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna fit them in the group. So I'm gonna bring a lot of torches and a lot of food. So this is sort of contradictory in the sense that either I want a lot of torches to not need the firewood, or I want a lot of food to be able to recover with the firewood. But this is also kind of a symptom of me having a lot of cash. So I do also at some point need to think about the cure. Yeah, we'll run with this. Beware the mark of death that fungal artillery can put on you. It tells their fungal zombie brethren what to kill.
I knew all these paths once. Now they are as twisted as my own ambitions.
So again, it's worth remembering here that all I'm really trying to do is satisfy the conditions for the objective. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and around like this, so we can skip the... Well, we'll have to go through the obstacle, but we'll skip this battle for now. We're probably going to have to go for it for the 90%, but I'll kind of know that this room is clear, and as a result, that's something that I can use a campfire for if I feel like I need it. And as always, we'll skip the cocoons. I'm trying to remember why I would have opened them in the first place. I guess it's because I would get blood in some cases. Ugh, these are a pain. So this is why I've started putting the shield breaker at the front. Oh, I didn't even check to see if I could improve the gear for some of these people. Alright, well that's a shame, but... I start putting them ahead just so I can do the impale. And if we have a situation where it's someone sort of in the back, then I'm able to...
Their formation is broken.
I'm able to do something like an Iron Swan. In this case, though, obviously we couldn't. Okay, we got a bit lucky, though. There's a side of me that wants to do Serpent Sway just because of the potential for Tree Branch Smackdown, especially now that we're marked. I think I'm going to do a Come Hither. This is partly for the mark. Okay. What I really wanted out of that, though, was... nuts. Yeah, I'll break through. I kind of wanted the Iron Swan, but I actually wasn't thinking it through, so... Judgment. Ugh. Well, now I got my Iron Swan. Yeah, so it's just too late on too many things. I could have done Serpent Sway to help my cause a bit. Let's do Collect Bounty while we can. Okay, I'll just do forward because of the mark. I lose the Iron Swan, obviously, but I really don't want to get hit by another Tree Branch Smackdown like that. Okay, can't do Dazzling Light on the back row.
Destroy them all.
Assuming that this thing survives to the next turn, we'll do the stun, not because we want the stun, but just so that we can get the extra torch. So Serpent Sway definitely did what was supposed to there.
Champion falls.
Okay, so, I mean, not great, but...
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
We got through it, and the next little while is relatively calm. So, there's a trap, there's an obstacle, but most of what we're up against is pretty tame.
In Radiance, may we find victory. Nature herself, a victim to the spreading corruption, malformed with misintent.
Got lucky there. Sorry, I know my commentary's sort of falling apart right now. The funny thing on this one, I guess, the way I'm sort of thinking of this is, it's, like, Like, it's something that I have to do. I kind of see this as a necessary step for the action that I actually want to take, which is like bringing this team, or well, something like this team against the formless, like the boss. But obviously, to do that, I need to get them to level 5. So I guess if I've got heals, I should be using them now.
Another abomination cleansed from our lands.
If only all the fights could be like that.
A dizzying blow to body and brain. Decimated.
So this is partly my way of dealing with the stealth.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
I figure this is a slightly more productive way of using my forward motion. Okay, got a bit lucky there. Divine Comfort seems as easy as anything. I could get a little more torch with the stun, but this guy is not long for this world, so... I think we're getting to a point where we'll be ditching the first... I should check to see who's the highest disease resist. Okay,
The light.
I don't exactly want to be hoarding food, but I was gonna... there's a little bit of efficiency I lost on the torch there, but not... like, it wasn't catastrophic. There's really no great way of managing this. I'm gonna have to go into both rooms, but I don't want to clear both blockages, just in case we need the shovel for the later rooms. Oh my god, really? It's a really good map, though. Okay, I mean, I guess what that tells me, so with that information I sort of know, how many shovels do I have? 2 shovels, so one for this, one for this. We'll clear out that room, go around, and then I don't need the shovels for any of these other rooms, so maybe the path I'll take here, here, move down, one to the left, out and around, and then we head to the right, and that should allow us to skip a couple of the room battles. We'll wait a little bit on the craving. It does feel a little dumb to use the shovel just to explore one room, but honestly, like, to me that is actually a pretty good reason. I'm basically giving up a shovel in order to avoid a battle, which, you know, battles aren't the end of the world, but if it means that I don't have to take a little more stress, or if there's the possibility that there's a character at death's door, I mean, why wouldn't I want to, you know, to fix that, right? So nice early hits. The big challenge, of course, is that the quivering ectoplasm is the sort of thing that can multiply. So hopefully the blight will do its job. Nope, 1 damage a turn, so we do need the Vestal to deliver the coup de grace.
The enemy crumbles. Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
Well, that didn't help. All right. You know, I'll clear this out now, I think. I wasn't going to originally, but it'll just save me the trouble. I am at some point also going to need to consider whether or not I want to use the campfire or not. This is going to get a bit inconvenient. I'm really mad at myself that I didn't start the shield breaker in the front. Okay, so we can potentially stun this one, so let's hit in the back. Nice. Let's try and pull it up. Nope. So dazzling light, 1 for the torch, but 2 just so that we can avoid, potentially avoid having someone marked. No, you're supposed to target the artillery, right?
Fiend falls.
Yeah, the Iron Swan's not going to mean the difference here, but... sorry, make the difference here, but it lets me get the positions back.
Success so clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of the light?
So the last map kind of made this irrelevant, but I suppose it's nice that we found another one. So yeah, at this point we're just going to go to the room with the treasure battle, and we have a long journey back, and then we gotta decide whether or not I want to... I know I'm definitely going to throw away 1 of the firewood. As for the rest... It's a bit of an open question right now. Debating on whether or not I want to do Impale. I don't see the same value. I actually think just going hard on the cultists is the right call here.
Compassion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle.
We get some bonuses against human, and the bounty hunter is able to attack position 3, so we had a very good chance of taking out the sorceress. And then, as you saw, like, there was... like, there's an Earth 2 somewhere where that turn just took everyone out before they could move.
Packs laden with loot.
And I know I said this about other games, but when you have probably... like, even if you don't know the probabilities well, my feeling has always been that you build a strategy that like, so if you think of something like a small chance for a crit, but that crit really delivers. My preference has always been to try and develop a strategy that
beyond measure, awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
So I'm trying not to talk over the game too much. Where I can, my effort is usually to try and produce kind of produce circumstances where I get to use that ability as much as possible. Because while it's unlikely a given like it's unlikely that any given attack is necessarily going to be the game changer. What you're doing is sort of you're maximizing your potential, and what you're doing is sort of you're giving yourself that wriggle room for the time that the chance does actually happen. It's a weird way to think, but like for me, it just tends to help. I don't really play those games as much, or at least the people don't say it as often. But for a while, there were a few people who'd kind of say it's like, oh yeah, you always get lucky in game X, and to a certain extent, it's true. But it's luck that comes from. It's basically luck that comes from letting the numbers work for me. So I guess let's say, as a silly example, you had like an attack that had a 0.05 chance for like an insta kill.
Inordinate exsanguination be considered a virtue?
One of the things that's nice about an ability like that, if you can manage it, is you're able to. This is such a pain. I'll ditch the jade. I don't think there's anything I can do about the bullseye bandana, though. I don't really want to give up most of this other stuff, and I'm going to be using the skeleton key on this chest.
A handsome reward for a task well performed.
But yeah, so like let's say you had that item that 0.05% chance of insta-killing the enemy that it strikes. I actually think there's an item like that in XCOM now that I think of it. Any given attack, it's completely unreasonable to assume that ability is going to is going to clear out your day. Actually, the better way to think of it is that maybe the attack is a little bit less powerful in its in the amount of damage that it does, but what you can do is you can sort of build a rotation where you have another character that's maybe picking up the slack in an event like that. That probably makes a bit more sense. So you're not necessarily maximizing the damage that you can do on a given turn, but what you are doing is you're allowing any given turn to have the bonus of... Oh, Jesus, this is a tough group. Shield Breaker's going to help.
A singular strike. Back to the pit.
Yeah, basically it means that every once in a while you're going to run into a turn where, that unit that's augmenting damage instead is able to focus on a new target because, the thing that they were originally going to go after is now just wiped out. So, again, it doesn't... it's one of these things where, you can't rely on it, but you can build it in such a way that you maximize your advantage when...
Executed with impunity.
Without maybe having it allows you to kind of mitigate the drawbacks. Sorry, I'm not being very articulate right now.
The bigger the beast, the greater the glory.
Okay, I really want those crests. I kind of feel bad doing this, but... Oh, wait a minute. I didn't mean to do that torch because I was going to camp. Well, maybe we don't need to camp.
Finding the stuff is only the first test. Now it must be carried home.
This is manageable, but my wish to deal with the cultist enchantresses is probably going to mean that the ectoplasm is able to see, what I'd like to do is actually focus on this enchantress. Okay, that's good. That's a shame. I was thinking of doing the judgment on this cultist enchantress because the blight isn't enough. I think that brings up a new one. Yep. Ah, well. Son of a... Alright. This is kind of what I was hoping to avoid. I also didn't necessarily play this very well, so... I only have myself to blame. Oh, God! So I wanted to use the shield breaker on the towering ectoplasm because it is the one with the high protection. Well, higher protection.
Victory. Perhaps the turning point. A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless. Gathered close in tenuous firelight and uneasy companionship.
No, I have to... Okay. That's fine. Okay, so they don't have any protection from ambushes. Do you like armor piercing for people? I have a lot of self... I think in this case I'm just going to go for as many buffs as I can manage. Alright. Blessed with good health for today, at least. We're as straight-backed as a royal guard. Good. If we work together, we can overcome this evil.
As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
20 stress around.
The Viper seeks to claim its quarry at last.
I always like that this battle is completely silent. So I think at this point we just go for the weak and take it from there.
A powerful blow. Precision and power.
So unfortunately, I think we're gonna
Nerves and panic.
have to see a sanity check on the shield breaker. Oh, good. Okay.
Decisive pummeling. These nightmarish
Oh.
creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
So the remaining journals are possibly from the shield breaker. A beautiful thing. Such exquisiteness must be admired, they say. And so I am made to dance for their desperate, dust-pitted faces, for their watery, bloodshot eyes, their cracked, grinning lips. I am not a person to this debauched audience. I am an exotic wonder. I am a beautiful thing. Okay, we're definitely taking the journal page. Oh god, there's so much. Oh, why? Kill the torches. Am I willing to give up food for the Aegis scale? Yes, that is exactly what I'm willing to do.
If only treasure could staunch the flow of otherworldly corruption.
And I bet the shield breaker is going to move before the Hellion.
Self-preservation is paramount at any cost.
Not a lot of options here. I think we'll put the damage on the things that are capable of healing as early as we can and take it from there. I guess the good news about this group is that it's really only one person who's sort of out of commission while we heal up the shield breaker. The rest of this crew should be pretty good for the next encounter. God.
This expedition at least promises success.
Okay, I definitely want the Countess invitation. I definitely want the crests. So I like at this point I just start kicking out money stuff. This may be a case where I don't pursue other rooms just because we're going to start seeing some stress go up because of the lack of torch. Again, it depends on when we hit our 90%. Okay, so we definitely need to do the treasure battle. I'm going to... hopefully... Okay, good.
this momentum,
It'd be nice to take the cash, but
push on
again,
to the task's end.
some of this stuff I want to make sure I'm bringing with me, even if it doesn't have any like financial value. I do want to make sure that it's I want to make sure it's locked in the hall. Okay, this one I'm going to start prioritizing damage. So, for instance, collect bounty does high damage on humans, so I'm going to use that. I am going to get the rest of the team to sort of help. Oof, not great. Well, I wanted to try and take out the crazed Nashers through other means, but that didn't quite turn out. But yeah, I just wanted to try and maximize the damage that I would be putting out. This could be bad. Nope, actually that works surprisingly well for me. Although I guess I'm putting him back into Tree Branch Smackdown territory. So it'd be nice if we could put a marked on the Blighted Giant, but at this point I just wanna do the damage output. Ooh, that stun's lucky.
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
Okay, that's good news. I'm going to continue adventuring just so we can see what's in that chest. Sadness. Alright.
Paths and roads bring soldiers and supplies. Let them arrive unharried.
Okay, so we do have actually. Oh, Vertigo. Okay, so we got it from the level up. So overall, this is pretty good. We've got a bunch of level 5s, and I think this is a credible batch for a. I think this is a credible batch for a boss fight. I don't know if we're quite in a point where I can sort of afford to start that that fight though.
An eternity of futile struggle, or penance for my unspeakable transgressions.
This veteran will fight for you in exchange for a fair sum of crystal shards. So this is level 6. I mean, this is not bad. What we can do is we can actually replace the... we could replace Fitzroy, who also has the Crimson Curse. It would be nice if I kept my shards, but yeah, I think in this case we'll... Oop. Before I do that, let's make sure that we get our trinkets back. We did invest a lot in this one, but I think... Oop. Let me just make sure, yeah.
This one has become vestigial, useless.
It's, you know, it's just a chance for me to improve the lineup even more. Actually, sorry, I'm gonna clear out the numbers. Okay, so Cruel gets treated for vertigo. I'm just gonna sort by stress because if I get a chance to... Okay, so Wissant at the bar. Take Lyraziter in the transept. Corbin also in the transept. So I think this more or less shuts me off from... Well, we'll see. But yeah, I think this kind of shuts me off from another, like from the boss fight. So I guess I can just keep...
He will be laughing still at the end.
No room for mercenaries like me. Okay, well, We don't need a second abomination.
Those without the stomach for this place must move on. This man understands that adversity and existence are one and the same.
So, I don't know, a stable of 6, pretty decent. I mean, the only thing we don't really have is a Vestal, which admittedly is kind of helpful for the extended, like the extended lifetime throughout the encounters. But I can definitely see some things happening with that crew. Okay, I've more or less sorted out. Kind of my side work. One thing I guess I could try to do would be to take a bunch of 5s that I didn't think I would be, like... So I think the next battle that I'm going to do is the Formless Flesh. So what I would want to make sure for that particular battle, as far as attacks are concerned, is I want to be able to sort of target everything. So for instance, the Bounty Hunter and the Hellion are absolutely like members of the team I would want to bring in. I mean, maybe a Vestal for healing. It's not necessarily like my first pick. And then I guess the question would be, do I bring Erasmus or Theon? The other option, of course, is that I can try and bring like a level 6 for balancing things out, because it'd be nice to have a little bit of ranged attack. You know, that would be supplied by Wissant, for instance. But, you know, again, do I really want to wait that extra time to be able to get that, you know, that character leveled up? So one of the things that I'm thinking of here is like, okay, well, if I bring along Mathen on a... So it'd have to be a veteran, I guess. Like, are there any level 3s that I can bring along on this? And, like, sadly, the answer is no. So it's like, okay, well, could I bring some level 5s on, you know, doing a champion run that's not like a kill the Formless Flesh? Ugh. So I guess I could do something like Erasmus, Mathen. I don't really want to bring Fortier because I want to use them on the Formless Flesh battle. It would have to be a short one. Ugh. Yeah, both want to do all the room battles. So the problem here is I don't really have a good position 1. Okay, so the answer is basically no. Well, okay, sorry, that's not true. If we're going to take them on a champion level, it actually gives me access to all the level 6s as well, and then we just kind of crush everything in the area. I was actually going to say that I was going to wrap it up for tonight, but maybe I'll do a cheeky run just so that I can have a grave robber in the team as well. Yeah, why not? I'm going to take a quick trip to the bathroom, and then I'll be back for... Oop. Sorry, something's going odd with my my OBS. Okay, yeah, I'll be back in a moment, and we'll do at least one more encounter. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm going to do... I'm at least going to do a short run. It did also occur to me that I can build the Outsider's Bonfire. So 2 additional respite points if you have at least 1 Abomination, Hellion, or Leper in your party. So our next few goals, a Puppet Theater for 200 crests. At some point we'll build the Red Hook, but that's obviously going to take a while. We were kind of on our way to the Tainted Well, but then we spent the shards on getting a better Antiquarian, which admittedly is maybe not... That's maybe not like the best choice, but I was okay with it. In the end, I would like to do a bit more of the material.
In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
So we still have to finish off the Countess. Okay, yeah. So we've not encountered the Sleeper yet, which, you know, that's an open question. And then obviously, you know, the Darkest Dungeon itself. But I think we're going to be waiting a while on that. Okay. So I'm okay bringing Erasmus, but let's think about what our next few steps are going to be. So Hellion? So I could do Frankenvinder if I wanted a healer, or I could bring Sharp if I wanted sort of maximum damage. I think I'll bring Sharp. So it always says that it gives them an increased resistance to bleeding attacks, but I feel like I get pretty lucky with my bleed abilities.
These salt-soaked caverns are teeming with pelagic nightmares. They must be flushed out.
So the aim on this one is just to, like, rush through. I do have a bit of heal, but not enough that I want to rely on. Oh my god! This is going to get hard. So pick to the face, I think, does the most damage. That's not nearly enough, though.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Ooh. So my other blunder was, all right, well, Erasmus is going to have to be dealt with. So yeah, the other blunder was not taking the one in position, or not taking the one in position 1 because Sharp's not going to be able to focus on the bloated thrall. So we better hope we deliver this round, otherwise it's going to get scary. Too late. That's definitely not the one you want to have go off when you don't have good healing. So Sharp's going to become sort of dedicated to healing for the next little bit. I don't want to do that too much, but...
Surgical precision.
Oh. What I'm trying to do here is, because we have one enemy, I want to try and maximize...
As the fiend falls,
like, I knew I was going to be hitting pick to the face, and I didn't know if it would be a one-hit kill, but I definitely wanted something that I wanted to try and take the opportunity to do as much healing as I could. So, the important thing here... Ugh, yeah. The Uka Savage is a priority here because of the arterial pinch, although the Plague Doctor can help with that a little bit. Oof.
Decisive pummeling. A singular strike.
So again, just my ability to get through protection. Noxious Blast and Pick to the Face are the two best ways to get through the protection, so I am building my turns accordingly. Unfortunately, I am running into health problems. Okay, another very lucky moment. Alright, well, I don't really have much options here.
Precision and power.
So, I mean, this is unlucky in terms of the overall damage that it's done, but the nightmare is over. I'm actually going to try and use the turn to heal. That was a bad call. I don't get an option.
Size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
We definitely should not have our health look like this this early into the run. So we know this thing's gonna die. Yeah. I was hoping that I would get another heal in. So Sharp is a pretty valuable asset. We're not quite ready to pack it in, but I gotta be really careful. Okay, this will give us some important information. Like, right now, if I were to abandon the run, all that we have is a little extra stress, and then the plague on, or specifically the ague, on Erasmus. But the next few rooms actually look somewhat gentle. I'm sure I will regret saying that, but we only have one battle here. So there is a reasonable chance that we'll come out the other side of this. Okay. I really gotta mind my manners, but there's possibilities. I forgot to move the positions around.
Devastating blow.
Okay, this one's down. I think the priority right now should be to take pieces off the board rather than get healing in. Those numbers add up.
Masterfully executed. The slow death, unforeseen.
I was really hoping I could do the breakthrough.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
It's getting scary. Okay, so this thing's dead. Again, whatever little bits of healing I can get in I want to take. But I can't really do that much damage to the Chevalier except for my Musketeer, so this is the exception. Okay, not great, but... Oof.
Their formation is broken.
Alright, so I gotta think about where the healing's coming from, but...
The light, the promise of safety.
I'll run ahead for now. I might use some food, but I think it'd be nice to have a better idea of the upcoming challenges. Like, if we only have one room battle to do, then obviously we just use all the food right before we go in. There's no reason for me to be in the dark.
Wealth beyond measure. Awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
I think it is more likely I'm going to see gold than another citrine. Okay. So I don't want to I don't want to eat the food too early, simply because Erasmus already has the disease. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to eat the food too early just in case the event triggers. But we are going to chow down as soon as...
Finding the stuff is only the first test.
Oh, I should...
Now it must be carried home.
Should have taken the emeralds. Okay, I got pretty lucky with this. We're not out of the woods yet, but we should feel pretty good about the position, so... So that's worth 2,000. That's obviously worth more. It's worth more than the gold. But we don't need the torches anymore.
The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
I don't like spreading it out like this. I prefer more decisive choices, but the meanest thing the game could have done to me would give me a hunger event right there. All right, this is not going to be an easy fight, but it's a doable fight. So I'm going to start with picks to the face at the start. Hellion's going to go for the weak ones. So again, I don't like spreading things out, but I think in this case, it's a justifiable strategy. Notice I'm also not doing healing. I want to try and remove some. I want to try and remove some enemies before. Before we start considering healing, like unless it's an emergency. Yeah, if we try doing healing too early, it just means we get 4 people able to do damage to us. So again, just keep working through that protection. Okay, that's a huge problem. As much as I want to drop the plague bombs, it's really important we pull people back from Death's Door. We can't afford to lose people on this one. We are just slowly working him down. This is kind of working as intended, so... I know it's only going to go after the one that's guarding it, but I prefer doing damage to... this is going to get really scary for a bit.
Brink, facing the abyss.
God damn it! I don't think there's anything I could have done to stop that, too. I mean, like, several turns earlier, but, you know, we already dedicated resources to protecting them, so... Jesus, these guys are hitting like trucks. Oh, I thought I could do a battlefield medicine on myself. This is going to get really, really scary. They've got 7 health left. Let's go for a Noxious Blast and hope for the best. Cool. So if we lose Erasmus, then, like, the whole point for this mission is lost. No friggin' way. We just keep picking away. We've already
The ground quakes.
we've already lost the unit that was helping here.
And
Ooh,
now the
this is
true test. Hold fast.
it's definitely
or
gonna get
expire.
character building. If it's a musketeer, I heal. It's not.
A powerful blow. Slowly, gently. This is how a life is taken.
Okay. He's down. Yeah, so that was obviously a really big loss for us.
At last, wholesome marine life can flourish. If indeed there is such a thing.
Okay, I got a few achievements, so before I wrap up for tonight, I'll just give a list of what I've seen. Yeah, so that was pretty mixed. I mean, we're up the one level for Erasmus. Oh, actually, we took Erasmus to level 6, but Mathen is now like we're down a full grave robber, which is obviously not good.
In truth, I cannot tell how much time has passed since I sent that letter.
So, we might be able to get a replacement for Olaf II. Yes, okay.
A mighty sword arm anchored by holy purpose. A zealous warrior.
Again, it's just a chance for us to make a little more progress on our roster. I could take a look at my mercenaries and see. So we don't have a Houndmaster. And we don't have a Plague Doctor. But I do kind of like all the units that I do have. So yeah, I mean, a decidedly mixed outcome. But I can live with it. Was it the grave robber that had the... Surely someone's got the disease. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'll sort by stress, because that's obviously got to get dealt with. Okay, so Sharp's a Tippler. Erasmus has the Crimson Curse now, so we need to... Fitzhugh... Oh, Fitzhugh seems to be... Okay, Flagellant, so I can't... We just cured them of the Crimson Curse, so obviously I don't want to throw them back into that trouble. Yeah, I mean, so, look, it's... Losing the Grave Robber is actually kind of a big deal, because I believe we don't have any now. But as like an overall, in terms of like an overall level, we're ahead. So make of that what you will. I'm just going to take a quick second here to convert our various heirlooms into crests. Oops. Okay. So as always, now that I have more mercenaries and I kind of get how they work, I may do a couple more trips out to the mill, which would give me the Tainted Well and the Miasmal Orchard. It is maybe worth noting here, so Holy Water increases buffs, Laudanum adds a Stress Resist buff, Anti-Venom adds a Blight Resist buff, Medicinal Herbs adds a Disease Resist buff. Like, Laudanum I've never brought. Holy Water and Medicine I bring when characters bring them. It's really only the Anti-Venom that I see with any regularity. On the other hand, like Puppet Theater, Idle Stress Relief, yeah, that's actually kind of a big deal for me. So, in truth, the Color of Madness content, I think I'm going to take some time to get through. The rest of it, though, I think we're in good shape. So, I guess the big question would be if we were to start, so imagining the start of the next stream, I could see Fortier in position 2 or 3. Let's say we put Lyra Zyder in position 3, Cruel in 5, and then we could do Corbin or Bourneville in position 4, and that would be tolerable for the Formless Flesh. So the Bounty Hunter's the real magic behind this one, because they have 3 positions of attack, and as long as Cruel stays in position 1, we get the Iron Swan for the backside. Again, it's not maybe not an ideal loadout, but I think it's one that I'd be able to handle that enemy with. More importantly, that would give us, I believe that would give us 4 more level 6 heroes. So in practice, that would mean we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heroes that aren't level 6. I mean, there's a certain argument there where it's like, well, maybe I should just start sending people out on the darkest dungeon. There's a side of me that does actually really want to get through all of the ancestors'
time,
memories.
You will know the
So-
tragic extent of my failings.
I do want to defeat the drowned crew and the formless flesh, and then the Countess. I actually had a specific kind of group in mind, but I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to pull that off or not. But that's something I'll think about in the future. I am done for tonight, but I am going to see who's online. I also don't want to focus on this too much, but unless I misread the viewership stuff, it seems that talking about something that I actually really care about on this stream carried a really big cost. And I don't feel great about that. So if you are here till the end, I actually really appreciate that fact. I will confess that I don't think I'm obligated. Or I don't feel people are obligated to watch, but I do think a little bit less of at least the people who were in chat for that. And I know I shouldn't. So the better way to frame it is just to say that for those of you who stuck with me, I appreciate that. Because obviously that's never something to be taken for granted. And I guess I'm just going to need to maybe keep that side of myself to myself. So... Brian on the Rocks is playing Elden Ring. I'm having a little trouble with my browser, but I think in OBS itself, I'll be able to get a raid in there. Oop. I did Brain on the Rocks. But yeah, Brian on the Rocks is currently playing Elden Ring. He is a developer at Respawn. He's a really nice guy. I got to meet him in Vancouver when I visited, and then I had known him in Vancouver before. He was doing, he ran a rather good game bar called EXP, which sadly had to close. But he's doing much better. I also believe he's doing some fundraising for multiple causes, actually. But overall, he is just definitely he's a really good guy, very knowledgeable about games. Obviously, you know, they don't just hire anybody at Rockstar, or not Rockstar, at Respawn. And he's definitely somebody I like showing some support for, so I would love it if you would do the same. As for me, I'm going to try and record some VODs over the weekend. And then for my usual days, on Monday, I'm going to be back for Stellaris. Wednesday we'll probably be doing some more Phantom Brigade, and then finally next week we will be doing Darkest Dungeon. Also, I forgot, let's see if I can get this before the timer runs out. I don't have that much time. I did want to see what achievements I got. Come on. Caretaker, complete all Caretaker goals. Mine goes to 11. Kill Squiffy Gas with a Jester. 4 on the floor. Kill Squiffy Gas, Squine Skewer, Bonebreaker, and Hateful something or other. All right, I got 2 seconds left. Enjoy, Brian. See you later.